All right, so apparently MSNBC is surprisingly on board with also taxing the rich. Let's take a
Democrats
look.
in the House presented a plan yesterday to pay for their social policy and climate change package by raising taxes by more than $2 trillion, largely on wealthy people and profitable corporations. But this morning, the New York Times reports that plan, quote, stopped well short of changes needed to dent the vast fortunes of tycoons like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, or to thoroughly close the most egregious loopholes exploited by high-flying captains of finance. It aimed to go after the merely rich more than the fabulously rich. Instead, the Times reports senior House Democrats opted to be more mindful of moderate concerns in their party than of its progressive ambitions. The focus on traditional ways of raising revenue, raising tax rates on income rather than targeting wealth itself. The Time continues, the bill dispenses with measures floated by the White House and Senate Democrats to tax wealth or to close off avenues that the super rich have exploited to pass on a lifetime of gains to their heirs tax-free. Democrats caution the proposal is likely to change. This is just out of one committee as it makes its way through Congress. Joe, so the top marginal tax rate is proposed to be raised to 39.6 from 37%, but that, as you know, doesn't get at the way the super wealthy and corporations make their money and avoid taxes.
It's true.
Well, and we see it every year. I don't understand what's going on when you have the people writing the tax bill for the Democrats saying they're concerned about moderates' concerns. What, do they want Jeff Bezos and Amazon to keep paying $0 in tax? Is that a moderate concern, or is that actually a lobbyist's concern? Because
So I've said this before, and people literally like misunderstand my point and get mad at me, but like increasing the top marginal tax rate is good. No problems there. Great. Okay. Except that's not how you even tackle the percentage of revenue that's just like hidden in treasure troves that makes up this gigantic chunk of the wealth that we are speaking about. Okay? And when I bring this up, it's like people say like, "Oh, dude, it's just because you're rich. Like that's why you don't want your bracket to be affected." Like I don't care. I'm an advocate for it. But the real moolah, okay? The real good shit, the cookies, that's trapped away in the fucking stock market. Capital gains, baby. And the unfortunate reality is that, like, we have no way of even touching that, and we will never even touch that. People always go back to, like, go back to, you know, the fucking 60s where they're like, well, or post World War II era, when the top marginal tax was at like 90%. That was good, and that was effective. But also, a lot of those assets were in income. Like a lot of the wealth that people had were coming from their income and not necessarily the stock market. Dude, you bought the most expensive house you could and put it as your primary residence precisely to avoid tax. Am I wrong? What? I don't think you understand how any of this works. Like, I literally don't think you understand anything that you just said. Like, that's not how anything works, dude. Like, I'm still paying taxes. The fuck? I was waiting for a dumbass to like, I guess, come up with a new and unique proposition, and I found it. I originally thought, like, you know, everyone was going to say, you know, you're avoiding taxes, that's why you wanted to move to Texas. But instead, they somehow found a way to, like, be like, you're avoiding taxes by living in California. Like, I'm avoiding taxes by living in one of the highest taxed places in the country. How incredible, dude. How in-fucking credible. You know, like, buying a house means you're paying more in taxes, right? There's, like, property taxes. I don't even know what to say to this guy. I don't.
Our sub-child is 1 month old now.
Incredible take. Anyway, I can't avoid taxes, but at least you can avoid the top of the hour ad break. That's right.
Pogo Arjan.
Because at the top of the hour, every hour, there's a 60-second ad break, kind of like a tax break.
Over the past few years, there are corporations that have paid zero taxes in a year. And just over the past couple of years, that includes Amazon, Chevron, Avis, Delta, Eli Lilly, GM, Goodyear, Halliburton, Honeywell, IBM, Netflix, Occidental Petroleum, Owens Corning, Salesforce, U.S. Steel. Last year, Archer Daniels, FedEx, Nike, on and on and on. Are moderates really concerned that those corporations may actually have to pay millions of dollars in tax? Because right now they're paying zero. And billionaires are continuing to figure out how to pay little or nothing. Hedge fund titans are paying taxes at lower rates than their clerical employees. And the people who chauffeur their Bentleys, you think that's demagoguery? You think that's popular? No, it's not.
I was a chat a bit,
no,
but I can
that's the fact.
So I can sub and stop seeing fucking
What the
ads.
fuck is going on right now? This is like actually a wild fucking take. Yo, you guys know this dude was a Republican, right?
Damn.
Like Morning fucking Joe is like a Florida Republican. Like this, what the fuck is happening? I actually don't understand how this sea change has occurred.
Congratulations and salutations.
I don't know if like
for
some of these wealthy in the fucking media are finally recognizing, yeah, he was a Republican congressperson, like, and he's still a conservative. Like he's supposed to be, he's playing the role of a conservative. What a wild take. I would never have thought that I would hear this from like corporate mainstream media.
Billionaires' capital, it doesn't get taxed. Workers' wages do. And so now Democrats in Congress are saying we need to raise the taxes on people who are working, but leave billionaires alone as they continue to amass capital and continue. Listen to me here, because everybody hates income redistribution. That makes you a socialist, doesn't it? If you're for a scheme that redistributes wealth, well, let me tell you something. In the world we've lived in over the past 40 years, there's been the largest income redistribution scam in American history. And it's been the middle class that's been looted while trillions keep flowing into the bank accounts of billionaires. Did you hear what I just said? Did you hear what I just said? This whole income redistribution thing we keep, oh, you can't raise taxes on people because that will be income redistribution. You're a socialist. Well, guess what? The very people who are saying that, the very people who are funding think tanks that'll say that, the very people that are paying lobbyists to get the message out to say that, the very people who are spending millions and millions of dollars.
What the fuck is going on, dude?
Genuinely surprised you actually.
What is happening right now?
Hasan has left love the stream.
What the absolute fuck is happening currently? I do not understand. By the way, the battle that we currently have in Congress, make no mistake, the battle that we're currently having in Congress with the Progressive Caucus holding strong with the $3.5 trillion budget reconciliation bill that will be paid for with a top marginal tax rate increase and also corporate tax rate increase. Those fucking corporate tax rate and top marginal tax rate increases are basically just patchwork proposals to like fix the fucking top marginal tax rate back to the pre-Trump era. Because wake the fuck up if you're unaware of this. All of the tax breaks that everyone got under $400,000, they are slated to increase already. The 2017 Donald Trump tax bill offered the largest fucking sum of tax breaks or tax cuts to the top 1% and the corporations. Those were permanent tax cuts. The tax cuts that the middle class got, however, were slated to increase and go back to the same level before the fucking tax cut bill. That's how they fuck you over every single time. Okay? That's how they fuck the middle class over every single fucking time. Let's not forget Obama made permanent the Bush era tax cuts that were slated to sunset under Obama, and the person who personally sidestepped Harry Reid and said, I'm going to handle Mitch McConnell myself, Jack, was Joseph Robinette Biden, where they just basically handed on a fucking silver platter the George W. Bush era tax cuts that were sunsetting for the wealthy. So there's that reality as well. But this conversation that we're having is a productive one, good. And it makes me happy that like fucking even Joe Scarborough, who's a Republican congressperson from fucking Florida, saying like these billionaires are getting away with far too much for far too long. We got to stop this. Stop saying this is socialism. You're ridiculous. But remember that, like, you know, here, let's take a look. Historical highest marginal income tax rates, folks. During World War II, we were at 94%, okay? And then that started to drop, and then it increased again. 1951 top marginal tax rate is 91%. In the 60s, it drops to 77, 70%. Okay, it stays there for a little bit. In the 80s, we go all the way down to 50%. 1983, we're at 50%. That's the top marginal tax rate. All the while the top marginal tax rate is changing, well, like taxes are going down, okay, we are also financializing our economy further. So through a series of investment banks starting to merge with regular banks, you are starting to see more activity in the finance world from the wealthy that want to fucking reinvest their vast resources and their vast wealth.
Strong man.
So it's a double bind that actually ends up completely eradicating our coffers, okay, our purses. So then you see in 1987, drop down to 38% and then 28%. 28% is the top marginal tax rate. Obviously, it has to be increased again, which is a really just a devastating proposition. Read my lips. No new taxes. Boom. That was a fucking lie. You had to readjust because the economy was like literally heating up. Okay, so George H.W. is punished post-Reagan. That increase continues. We're back to like 39%, and then it holds strong. Bush drops it back down to 35%. That proposal is supposed to sunset. That proposal is maintained for a couple more years, and the top marginal tax rate goes back up to 39%. Donald Trump comes in, lowers it down in 2017 to 37%. So what we're trying to do with the increase in the top marginal tax rate is bring it back up to 39%. So just pre-Trump era. So when people say like, oh my God, this is devastating. How the fuck? Top marginal tax rate is what the highest tax rate a person can get. Yes. But it's not, unfortunately, given how dynamic wealth is now, and that the bulk of the wealth or the bulk of the money that rich people use, or wealthy people rather use, do not come from their actual fucking income anymore. This is an outdated structure regardless. I'm still in favor of increasing the top marginal tax rate. However, the real wealth, the real cookies are trapped away in assets, okay, in the stock market. Here is the corporate tax rate and the brackets.
Cookies for you.
Corporate tax rate 1%. In 1909, we got to go back. We got to make America great again, brother. We got to go back to 1907. Nothing crazy happened around that time, so I think we need to go back to that. You look at that, brother. That's when America was truly great. 1913, top marginal tax rate 7%. I make my goddamn money and I keep it to myself. The government can't take nothing from me. Corporations already like fundamentally get around these corporate tax rates no matter what you fucking do. Okay, they hide their assets overseas. They go to Ireland. They take numerous other measures in an effort to avoid paying higher taxes, despite being American companies, despite using American infrastructure, despite selling to Americans, which is, you know, an engine of consumption. So we've got a 35% top tax rate and bracket for corporations since 1993. Donald Trump's like, that's too much. Lowers it to 21%. Now we're trying to salvage that back up to 25 or 27, not even 35. What's the increase for the corporate tax rate? This happened. This, by the way, happened. I just want to remind you guys. This literally happened at a time where corporations were showing record high profits. And now we're trying to bring it back up to like 26 or 25. And Joe Manchin's like, best I can do is 25. You fucking kidding me? This is like pre-Trump era levels, dude. We're not trying to increase to historic highs. And even then it's like, nope. So that's why I want to reset. Oh, this is a huge concept too. I briefly mentioned it in the past, but yes, thank you, Ammo JD. This is why the global tax rate agreement Yellen negotiated in the summer is so important. By the way, Janet Yellen went and reached an agreement with the G7 countries to agree on a 15% minimum global tax rate, so that the G7 countries cannot cuck America and other countries by offering like 0% corporate tax rates to allow shelter to other countries. Not other countries, to allow shelter to American corporations. Now that number is still 15%. That's laughable, okay? This is like, you know, it's 15% because of Ireland, by the way. So that will greatly increase taxes in Ireland. Outside of that, you're going to still see countries that do not abide by this. Can we please get a world government? You'll still have countries that try to abide outside. Move around this. It's unclear how much support the new tax floor has been in parts of the European Union and other low-tax countries. Irish Finance Minister Pascal Donoghue has said he has significant reservations about the U.S. plan and said the country will maintain its 12.5% corporate tax rate for years to come. Donoghue said Saturday that Ireland expects to lose up a fifth of its corporate tax revenue under the plan, amounting to roughly 2 billion euros a year. The country's relatively low tax rate is credited with helping to attract major corporations like Apple, Facebook, and Google to Ireland in recent years. And Donoghue told the Irish Times that he plans to continue to make the case for legitimate tax competition with certain boundaries. Bare fucking minimum, dude. Anyway.
On lawyers and lobbyists on K Street who are saying that they're the people who have scammed you. They're the people whose monopolies continue to be untouched. They continue to be untouched all because they can buy the best lobbyists, they can buy the best lawyers, they can buy the best influencers on Capitol Hill, across Washington, D.C., and across Wall Street. Please, Democrats, do better than that. Tax capital, take a dent on these super wealthy billionaires who keep accumulating, keep amassing fortunes.
I don't understand. It's like, sorry, sweaty. I took Econ 101. And that means I know that a lot of those are just assets, okay? That's not liquid, sir. What that means is all that trendy money is actually just sitting there, okay? I took Econ 101. That doesn't mean Jeff Bezos has billions and billions of dollars. Of course, there is a process of liquidating it. There is a process where Jeff Bezos could sell off stocks like he does from time to time on his own leisure, or the infinite money glitch. That's right. The IRS fears this infinite money glitch. It's called taking a loan out against your infinite assets. Just take a fucking loan out. You have literally you have infinite leverage. You will never run out of money this way. Which is what a lot of these rich people do. What are they going to do? You'll fucking, you'll just pay it off slowly but surely. Just take a fucking loan out. The IRS hates this trick. Hates it.
Because you're just, when you're taxing income a little bit more, 2% here, 3% here, you're missing the target. If you want to make this country a fairer place, if you want to get us back to where we were before, where there wasn't just such massive divergence between the super wealthy and the rest of Americans, you're going to have to rewrite your tax plan, because that one's just lousy.
Democrats.
What's fucked is I played the stock market for the first time this year, made a lot of money on AMC, and I'm going to pay higher taxes percentage-wise than those who profited 10 to 20 million. And now the new admin raised capital gains tax on gains less than a certain amount. Retail level investors. The government tries to make money where it can. The unfortunate reality is, like, the bottom of the top 1% is always going to be much easier to tackle with than the top of the top 1%. Doesn't matter if they have an endless amount of money. It's just impossible to fucking deal with them, because they also have an endless amount of resources, and in many cases, way deeper pockets than you. There's a reason why we don't actually, for example, go after, Jared Kushner's dad, who ironically was in prison, but we don't go after Jared Kushner's dad for buying a wing at Harvard to make sure that his dumbass fucking son can get a Harvard degree. But we end up going after, celebrities' sons and daughters, and celebrities that are like, millionaires for cheating the system. It's still justifiable to do so. Do not misunderstand me. But there is the reality there that they will never go after the super rich. Part of the problem is that the IRS doesn't have enough funds to deal with people like that. And when they increase the funds, they go for a larger percentage of the population. The bottom side of the 1%, the bottom side of the top 1%, athletes, doctors, people like myself, YouTubers, shit like that, is easier to go after than, CEOs and owners of corporations and people that have all of their assets in the stock market. But the other side of this is that people like myself can absolutely give back more, I think. So I would rather have the IRS stop going after fucking middle income and middle class people, and instead go after some, every now and then, just like a one whale. Celebrities make most of their money as income. Their money doesn't come with a corporate executive buff that grants it special tax status. Yes. Are you considered middle or whale? No, I'm in the 1%, but way closer to the bottom of the 1% than anywhere near middle of the 1%. But I'm still in the 1%, so it's totally reasonable to tax me more.